Marriott introduced dynamic award pricing on March 29, 2022, and completely got rid of their old award chart system. I looked at the price and points of over 500 hotels to try to determine how you can get the most value out of Marriott points under the new system. In this video, I'll quickly explain what the new dynamic award pricing system is, and then answer specific questions about how the value of your Marriott points might have changed. Check the chapters of this video to see what questions I answer, and check the description of this video if you want to know a little bit more about my research methodology. At the end of the video, I'll reveal how I think you can get the most possible value out of your Marriott points. So let's start off with what changed on March 29th. Before that date, Marriott hotels were assigned a category number between 1 and 8. A hotel would cost a specific number of points based on what category it was in, as well as whether a night was considered peak, off-peak, or standard. As an example, a Category 5 hotel, such as the Courtyard in Ginza, would always cost 30,000 points, 35,000 points, or 40,000 points, unless a specific promotion was going on. Marriott got rid of this entire system for dynamic award pricing, where the price in points can vary from day to day, just like the cash price. It's also no longer possible to search for a hotel by category on Marriott's website. So now it's a little bit more difficult to find hotels that fall within specific budgets. Around 97% of hotels will still have points redemption costs that are between the values for the peak and off-peak prices in the old system, but this goes away in 2023. Just over 200 hotels will be able to increase the price in points above the peak price under the old system. Notably, this includes around 17% of Category 7 hotels and nearly a third of Category 8 hotels. That means that these changes mostly target aspirational properties such as those in the Maldives. A huge concern when Marriott said they would switch to dynamic award pricing was that Marriott would make points a lot less valuable. But let's see if this actually happened. The first thing I want to look at is whether award availability has changed after Marriott introduced dynamic award pricing. Sometimes a hotel will have rooms available to book with cash, but not have rooms available if you try to book with points. Now that the hotels are able to adjust the price in points, I wanted to see if hotels would be more willing to allow people to book using points. I found 15 cases that could not be booked with points before dynamic pricing was introduced, but could be booked with points after dynamic pricing was introduced. By contrast, there were only 9 cases that could be booked with points before March 29th, but could not be booked with points after March 29th. This means award availability did go up. 2 examples of popular hotels that opened up award availability after the new system was introduced are the Swan Reserve in Walt Disney World and the Westin in Las Vegas. The second thing I wanted to know was how much does the award price vary from night to night? To find out, I looked at the award price of a Saturday night and a Tuesday night. Before dynamic pricing was introduced, 43% of the hotels that I looked at had the same price for both these nights, but after dynamic pricing was introduced, only 17% costed the same amount in points for these 2 nights. This means that the price in points for hotels is now less predictable. As an example, the AC Hotel Barcelona Forum now costs 8,000 more points to redeem for the night of May 3rd than it does for the night of April 30th. Before dynamic pricing was introduced, both nights costed 25,000 points. If you do the math, you'll see that you get a value of 1.06 euro cents per night for the more expensive night, and a value of 0.65 euro cents per night for the less expensive night. This means that you get more value per point when redeeming on more expensive night. And I found that this pattern was true for about 80% of the hotels that I looked at. Even though you're getting more value per point during peak nights, this does not mean you should intentionally move your travel from off-peak times to peak times. That's because during off-peak times, you're able to book the same hotel for a lower number of points, which is true for this AC hotel in Barcelona, as well as around 70% of the hotels that I looked at. A third thing I wanted to know is if Marriott hotels are now more expensive to book using points. To my surprise, for most of the hotels that I looked at, the price and points actually went down, especially on the weekends. But there is a caveat to this. For some places, such as Paris, Hawaii, and Singapore, the price and points for most hotels went up. Additionally, the price decreases were generally smaller than the price increases, with the most dramatic price increases at luxury hotels and resorts. Some Hawaiian resorts even doubled in price, such as the Wailea Beach Resort in Maui. A fourth thing I wanted to know is how much are Marriott points worth now, and did their value change due to the introduction of dynamic pricing? From what I can see, the value of points at hotels that used to be category 1 to 3 is now higher, but the value of points at hotels that used to be category 7 to 8 is now lower. This means that points are now less valuable than they used to be at luxury hotels in places like Dubai, but are now worth more than they used to be at cheaper Marriott brands in places like Dallas. In major European cities such as Paris and London, I found that the value of points has gone down for hotels that are near the city center, but the value of points has gone up for hotels that are more on the outskirts of the city, such as near the airports. You're now less likely to see really bad value redemptions such as 0.2 cents per point, which is what you would have gotten in places like Hong Kong and Taiwan when international travel shut down in 2020 and their prices hit rock bottom. But you're also going to have a hard time finding crazy, excellent values above 2 cents per point that used to exist in places like Hawaii and the Maldives. I'd say Marriott points are still worth somewhere between 0.7 and 0.8 cents per point on average, which is what I thought they were worth before dynamic pricing was introduced. What really changed, I think, is that the really low values and the really high values are now kind of pulled in towards the average, so you're less likely to get crazy valuations on either end of the spectrum. Now I'll tell you how to get the most value out of your Marriott points. But before then, if you're getting useful information from this video, make sure to hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm knows to recommend this video to more people. And with that, I'll now reveal what I think are the best uses for Marriott points. Even with all the changes, Marriott points are still worth the most when you redeem them at ultra expensive locations, such as luxury resorts in the Maldives, Bora Bora, and Hawaii. You're just not going to get as crazy excellent values as you did before dynamic pricing was introduced. Depending on where you travel, you'll probably get better value if you stay a little bit further away instead of at the best location and try to look at slightly lower end brands. If you must stay at a hotel during peak travel season, that's when you'll get the most value out of your points, but you can now save a lot of points if you're able to be flexible with your travel dates. Thank you for watching this video, and let me know in the comments section if you think your strategy for redeeming Marriott points has changed due to the introduction of dynamic award pricing.